Hi, I'm Charles with Handicap. The story begins in a city that is also a labyrinth, and the people there risk their lives being there. Our protagonist named Nick is an adventurer, and he explains that his life is better than it's ever been. He has a girlfriend, and his dream is to help the group he belongs to, called the Masters of War, become an A-rank party. Unfortunately for him, Argus, the leader of the party, and the man Nick looked up to, has decided to kick Nick out of the party. Very soon after that, the girlfriend he cares deeply for decides to break up with him. Before he could even realize, these events cause him to quickly become an idol otaku. He screams feverishly as he cheers on his new favorite pop star, Agate. A look into the recent past shows that Nick had been in deep pain as he wondered what had gone wrong. He remembered that he was unhappy about having to forgive another member of the party named Garoso after he stole money from them for a girl. Argus had also told Nick that he was the one that took him in and raised him, but now Nick was beginning to boss everyone around. They weren't on the same page anymore, so Argus kicked him out and told him to find somewhere he would be better suited. Nick continued to wallow in sorrow when he was approached by a concerned girl, but he simply attempted to brush her off. She was offended at being shooed off like a dog, but still gave him a concert ticket and explained that she is an idol. As an idol, she considers it her responsibility to cheer people up, but Nick exclaims that he won't be going to her concert. This girl ends up being the Agate that he had been cheering on earlier, and we return to the present to see that Nick is extremely glad he came to the concert. Afterwards, he realizes that he needs money if he's going to be an idol otaku, so he enthusiastically heads to an adventurers guild. Nick's first attempt at starting a party doesn't go well when he remembers how Argus told him he wasn't a real adventurer, and shattered his confidence. The guild closes for the day as Nick was unsuccessful at talking to even one person, and he heads to a nearby tavern. Just then, a mysterious group of people enter, but it doesn't seem like they're in a party together. A man's attempt at recruiting one of them to join his party is met with disdain, and Nick notices that one of them has a very rare and expensive jewel. He thinks about how the girl is clearly from a wealthy family and how she seems like a mage, but might be an assassin. The cleric has clearly been drinking already, and him not wearing a medal is a clear sign that he has been excommunicated. The last person is a Dragonian, who seems to have been in many battles but reminds Nick of a wounded animal. Nick begins a toast to his old friends and girlfriend, but quickly condemns them. He now comes to the realization that any friend he makes will just end up betraying him later, and he can't trust anyone. He finishes his drink, and the four at the table simultaneously state that there is no one in the world that can be trusted. They're all shocked by the coincidence, and we then get to see into the mage's life story. Her name is Tiana, and she impresses everyone with her display of magic. It is expected of her as the daughter of the Arenafell clan, but it's still amazing how she is able to master both water and wind magic. She explains that she isn't learning magic to become famous, but to train her mind. Tiana was the pride of her school, and she was enthusiastic about learning magic since it's a good way to learn about society, and even the world around her. She goes to find her fiancé named Alex, and explains to him how she was able to impress her teachers with her use of lightning magic. Having done that will allow her to graduate a year early, which impresses the girl accompanying Alex. Tiana questions who the girl is, and she reveals herself to be Lynn, the daughter of wealthy merchants. Alex accuses Tiana of bullying Lynn in school, and Lynn accuses her of seducing teachers. Tiana is insulted at the accusations, but Alex continues to explain that teachers are taking bribes in exchange for changing grades. He goes on to point out how Tiana is only ever bragging about her powerful magic skills or making everyone feel bad since they aren't as rich and powerful as she is. Alex points out that she is always claiming to work so hard for him, but he reveals that her being the top student at school actually makes him look bad. Alex has had enough with all the humiliation he has received and breaks off their engagement. He wonders who she is actually seeing directly in front of her, and after leaving the school, she would later come to realize that she may have only ever been seeing herself. Without school, Tiana goes out in search of a job, but is rejected at every turn. She just so happens to find a betting slip for a nearby race and is shocked when she ends up winning. Not long after, she would go through the same thing that happens to every gambler. She would go on to lose. Without a way to pay her rent, Tiana would consider becoming an adventurer. A man would then attempt to get her to join his party but become terrified by her. Tiana then reminds herself to smile once in a while, but that only scares the next person even more. These events are what led her to the tavern, and Nick can't help but point out how difficult her situation is. Nick then turns his attention to the cleric, who explains his story. His city is known for its medicinal herbs and for its temple worshipping the god of divine inspiration called Medler. His name is Father Zem, and he praises a worker of his for her good job gathering herbs. The girl expresses her interest in Zem, but he is devoted to the church. He explains that she should pursue other things, but the rejection proves to be too much for the girl. Sometime later, Zem is set to be promoted to High Cleric, but is arrested when the girl accuses him of hurting her. He was imprisoned for 3 months and banished from the city as not a single person believed his innocence. With nowhere to go, he finds himself in another city where he meets a woman in need of healing. He helps her with her back pain, and she recommends he go to Labyrinth City to become an adventurer and see the world. She supplies them with clothes and other useful items and simply explains that he should consider it a donation to the church. She explains that the items had been left a long time ago by a fool who left them as collateral for the room charge. Nick comes to the conclusion that he can't really believe anything they say, and just chalks it up to some stories told over a mug of beer from people he will definitely never see again after tonight. The others feel the same pessimistic feeling towards what others say as well, and the cleric jokingly states that he will actually be going to defeat the Demon King right after their conversation. Nick then turns to the final stranger and states that it's now her turn. The Dragonian is hesitant to speak at all, but then begins to explain that something very important to her had been stolen by the person who is most important to her. The scene fast forwards to a moment later when the Dragonian is extremely drunk and is now able to easily tell her story without hesitation, but she doesn't reveal much else. We then watch Nick's final moment with his ex-girlfriend Claudine. He had just given her a necklace that she expressed great enthusiasm over, but then immediately states that it's time for them to end their relationship. When he expresses his shock, a man beast appears behind her and explains that girls don't like pushy guys. Nick is upset to see that the man beast is now wearing the necklace, and Claudine reveals that Nick has been the best mark for a con she has ever met. Just then, Nick wakes up to find that the other 3 he had met at the tavern are passed out in the same room as him, but he has no clue who they are. In a split second, some of the memories of the night before return, and he asks that they all leave, but Tiana points out that it's actually her room, and they are the ones that need to leave. They begin to part ways, but Nick starts to wonder if that is what they actually should do. He states that they're all in need of money, and since they can't trust anyone else, then they should just join a party together. We are then told that these 4 strangers would one day save the world. Thanks for watching part 1, all other parts will be in a pinned comment below.